G'day, I'm Faintly Saintly, and thank you for joining me for Humble Choice Smash or Pass for April 2026. In this series, we check out the offering of the Humble Choice bundle each month and compare reviews, value, and compatibility of each included game to help decide, will I smash the choose games button, or will I pass and hope for a better offering next month? My goal is to provide you with all of the information you need to decide this for yourself all in one place. Now, at first glance, my initial impression of this bundle is that we're going to have a contentious month here, I think, based on the headline acts, shall we say. So let's dive in and see what we've got here. And as always, if you find this video useful, please consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot and keeps you in the loop when new videos drop. But without further delays, let's get into it. Okay, and the first game in the list, the headline act, is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This is your typical Assassin's Creed fare, but this time with a Viking theme applied to it. This one's a few years old. It has mixed reviews, 68%, so not setting the world on fire, but I think we all sort of know what to expect from Assassin's Creed these days. I don't think I've played one since the original. I've had no desire to. It's just, to me, seems like typical, generic, boring AAA sort of games, and nothing wrong with that. If you enjoy it, it's just, I don't see any appeal whatsoever. This still sells for 90 Australian dollars, despite being approaching 4 years old. And of course, you can pay $210 for the complete edition. Mind you, what's included in the bundle is just the base game. So you don't get the season passes or the DLCs or anything like that. It is being offered in Humble, if we have a look here, as a Steam key, which surprised some people because this does rely on Ubisoft's own little platform, saying that you still need to link your account to the Ubisoft Connect platform, agree to their end-user license agreement, and also incorporate third-party DRM in de novo. So really, it's not got a great deal going for it. It does look pretty if it's your kind of, if you're really a fan of this kind of setting and this kind of game, hey, you might enjoy it, and this is a good chance to grab it for cheap. Although I did read that the whole bundle, the complete edition, went on deep discount during the most recent sale, I believe. It was, I think they call it, well, it's the winter sale, but summer down here, obviously. The point is, you could have got this for very cheap not long ago and had the whole lot. In any case, you know what you're getting into with Assassin's Creed, presumably. Wow, the reviews are not what I expected. Best game I've ever played. Keeps you going. 130 hours. 190 hours. Doesn't deserve the hate it gets. It's not the best Assassin's Creed, but it's a good open-world RPG with a Viking setting. Let's get to some of these juicy negatives, shall we? Very understandable that only 39% of people have actually completed the second achievement. 2.6 hours in, and I've hated almost every second. The crashes are a feature of this game. 172 hours. Try to give this a fair shot. It's enjoyable for about 20 hours, and then it just gets repetitive. Far too big and filled with meaningless filler content. Can't bring myself to finish it. Well, I think I've said it 3 times now, but I think by now you know if you like this kind of game. If so, great, good for you. If you don't have it already, good chance to get it. For me, not interested. Even if I got it for free, I would probably never even install it. There's just too much off-putting about it. So, easy pass for mine to start things off. So let's hope the selection gets better from here. Let's have a look at what's next. Next up we have Daemon X Machina. Titanic, Scion. Now, I probably said at least 3 of those words incorrectly, so please forgive me. Now, I know we saw the prequel to this in a recent bundle, probably in the last 2 months or something, so it's kind of surprising to see this so soon, especially because it was only released in September, so it's only a few months old, really. Less than half a year. Anyway, this is a mech-based game. It's sci-fi, it's open world, there's a lot of hack and slash combat. I think you sort of build and customize your own mech to some extent, and obviously there's a whole lot of sort of weird anime fantasy with mechs and creatures and God knows what else going on here. While the first game I think was received reasonably well, this one not so much. A lifetime 63% positive rating on Steam, which is not ideal. This one still is selling for 105 Australian dollars, which is kind of a lot, but not too surprising considering it's still a very new game. You can also pay extra for the Digital Deluxe and the Super Digital Deluxe if you want to pay $170 for this. And that looks to include sorry, there are 43 individual DLC items for this game. I'm not going to go into that. That says everything you need to know. Let's have a look. It is playable on Steam Deck, not verified, which means some of the in-game text is not adjusted, but the game should function at least. You need to agree to a third-party end-user license agreement, but it doesn't look like there's any DRM such as de novo, which is nice. Let's have a look at some of these reviews, shall we? Frustrating camera and combat. There's absolutely more in this sequel, but it's not better, and the depth of gameplay is on par. Receive this as part of Humble Choice and still feel ripped off. The game is like Anthem. That's not a good start if you're going to recommend it. It was made by the Japanese and actually good. Okay. This is what Anthem should have been, another Anthem comparison. Had BioWare managed to blank themselves. Okay. Not filling me with confidence. I mean, I like the concept. I'm not huge on mechs or anything like that, but I mean, it looks like it could be a fun game. It just doesn't look like it's a very good game, which is a shame because the first one, as I recall, was sort of a high-profile game on the Switch at the time, and I think people generally enjoyed it, but this one doesn't look like it's improved a whole lot. But then again, if you are into sort of mechs and this is, you know, really appealing to you, you might get something out of it. I could quite happily skip this one and probably never think of it again. Bit harsh, but that's a no from me. Okay, next up we have The Lord of the Rings, Return to Moria. Please forgive me if I have not said that correctly. I'm not a Lord of the Rings head. This is a cooperative survival crafting game, think in the same vein as Valheim, that kind of thing, except obviously Lord of the Rings themed. As you can see, you play as dwarves, and you are underground, you're mining, you're crafting, you're gathering treasure, fighting dragons, that kind of thing. Pretty much everything you can probably conceive from a typical co-op game, survival crafting game, just with your standard Lord of the Rings coat of paint. Doesn't look bad at all. It's not breathtakingly beautiful, but looks appealing for this kind of game. And it's an interesting concept. I always like a survival crafting game, so I'm guessing if you've got a few friends who are similar-minded, who might join you, you're probably going to have a better time than if you're going it alone. These games are always a little bit lonely by yourself, I would say. This was released in 2024, so it's not too old, a couple of years. Still sells for about 44 Australian dollars, which is probably standard for this kind of game and age, I guess. There are some bundles that include more content, DLCs and soundtracks, and it's like Christmas decorations if you're into that kind of thing, but I believe the Humble just includes the base game. There are no DRMs included, which is nice, no de novo, though you do need to agree to a third-party license agreement, which is pretty standard. Steam Deck is playable, not verified, so it functions, but again, some of your text may not be adjusted to suit the smaller screen of the Steam Deck. Let's have a look at some of the reviews here. Lifetime reviews are 80% positive, so it's not a bad game by the sounds of it by any means. It's probably just not, you know, moving the bar that much. Can't recommend this game. 65 hours in. The fact you have to struggle through entire areas doing half damage, basically unable to defend yourself until the game happens to drop the new materials you need to do damage in the area you're in. So it sounds like a little bit of that standard progression like you'd see in Valheim, but maybe a little bit more extreme, a little bit more challenging to skip ahead. So that sounds a little bit frustrating. I can see why that would be off-putting. After 31 hours, we have a positive review. Solid adventure builder game with great Lord of the Rings flavour. Okay, let's see if we can find some more longer play hours. Recommended after 63. Delivers a truly unique and immersive co-op experience, especially for fans of the world. However, the game does fall short in several key areas. The intro was promising. Oh, it's only an hour in. 100% out of pure spite, this is licensed. Right, he's not happy with it. Rock and Stone, I did think there was a little bit of Deep Rock Galactic influence here, but I suppose dwarves are dwarves, right? They didn't invent dwarves. Fun and addictive after 20 hours, 60 hours recommended. So it seems like it's mostly positive, but it is a little bit flawed, so maybe not the best choice in this genre. If you're looking for something to play with your friends, maybe something like Valheim might be a little bit more suited. Saying that, if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings and all your mates are as well, you might have a really good time with this. Personally, I think it would depend if I had other friends interested. If no one else was interested, I would not touch it. If I had a few friends that were keen to play, I'd probably give it a go. So for that, it's not a bad thing to have in your Steam library. So I'll say smash. Okay, up next we have Until Then. This is a story-rich, emotional visual novel. And as you can see here, it's got a really unique pixel art style that combines, the retro sort of graphics with the flat 2D sprites, but with actual modern effects. It's got depth, it's got lighting, it's got shadows, that kind of thing. So it's an interesting blend and actually looks quite appealing in my view. Okay, so in this one you're looking to uncover a mystery. People are disappearing and memories are proven to be unreliable. You uncover a hidden truth with Mark and his friends in this narrative adventure and race to unravel the mystery before it's too late. So, released in 2024, currently sells for $30. Not to include any DLC, it looks like these are just bundles with other games, which is always nice. It is Steam Deck verified, which makes sense because this might be the kind of game you probably want to play, if you're sitting on the train or something like that. Doesn't look to need any precise movements or fast reflexes. Seems quite suited for handheld play, which is good to see. And then obviously the talking point here is the reviews. Overwhelmingly positive, 97% lifetime. That kind of surprises me because at first I think, does that mean people really enjoy this kind of game? But then I suppose if you didn't enjoy this kind of game, you probably wouldn't buy the game, right? So, kind of makes sense. Let's see what people are saying. 10 out of 10. Good game. Thank you for making this game. I pirated it, okay. 0.1 hour. Oh, he bought it to make up for it. Okay, that's how good it was. I've rarely ever been so deeply moved by a story. I look forward to seeing the expansions. Perfect game. Best of all time. Emotional roller coaster. I cried so much on the emotional scenes. Interesting. Phenomenal game. Truly one of a kind. So, I guess if you are the kind of person who might enjoy this kind of thing, a visual novel, something emotional, something really based on the narrative and story-driven, you might be one to really enjoy this. It sounds like it is a really, really solid game based on the reviews. There's a lot going for it. But I just personally, I just can't really get into visual novels. They just don't do it for me. There needs to be something more to it. It's just not what I look to get out of games, which is fine. You might enjoy that kind of thing. It's not what I'm looking for. So for me, I'd probably pass. Up next, we have Planet of Lana. In a world torn between nature's grace and the cold machine invasion, one girl and her companion must rely on their bond to survive and protect what they hold dear. This one is a puzzle platformer that focuses a lot on the atmosphere, and it looks like it does a really good job with that. Look how beautiful this world looks. Another one that's sort of simple, but also has all these, really cool lighting effects and things like that that really just make the scenery just pop. That actually looks really, really nice. So what kind of game is it? It's a 2D side-scroller, and it looks like it's going to be more about the journey and the solving of puzzles than action, so I don't expect to have too much sort of combat and that sort of stuff. But it looks like it does what it does quite well. So let's find out a bit more about it. It's released in 2023. Currently sells for $30, so not a bad opportunity to pick that one up for a little bit cheaper, though it's not going to break the bank. It is Steam Deck verified, which is good, because this is another one that looks like it would be quite suited to play on the go. And for some reason, whenever I picture that, I just picture if I was sitting on a train, is this the kind of game I might want to play? And I think, yeah, this would suit itself quite nicely to it. There's no DRM, no third-party licenses or anything like that, which is always a plus. It's all sounding pretty positive so far. Let's see what the reviews say. We have a lifetime very positive rating of 93%, and that goes up to 94% in recent reviews, so it's doing something right. Let's see what we've got to say. A calm and cozy journey. It's really nice, chill game to sit down and relax with. For a platform with no violence, it is good. So I think we're right with our assumption that it's not all about the combat and jumping on enemies' heads, it's all about the puzzles and the atmosphere, taking it all in. Feels calm and emotional with a simple story that just works. Visuals are beautiful, gameplay is easy but enjoyable. This is a slightly positive neutral for me. Good music, good puzzles, great art style, beautiful designs. Cons, the flawless achievement. Complete the game without any death. I don't really care too much about achievements. Sometimes the control is a bit wacky but manageable. Okay. Amazing game. Beautiful game. Alright. Finally found a negative. Outside looking pleasant, this isn't particularly impressive. Pretty basic, easy platformer with realistic jumping, some stealth, basic puzzle solving, and barely existing story. Fun enough for a 4-hour playthrough, nothing earth-shattering. That probably sums it up. It's going to be a short little experience by the sounds of it. It's not going to be one you're going to sink dozens of hours into. Unless you're this guy, maybe. But it seems like it does what it sets out to do and does it well. The question is that something that you're really interested in? And I think we're going to have a similar answer to Until Then, which was the visual novel we just looked at. They just don't appeal to me. This one, it looks appealing. I don't see myself going on a way to sit down and play this. It's just not something I'm, again, looking for out of my games. So, hey, if this is your kind of thing, you'll probably love it. For me, I could quite easily pass. Alright, something a little bit different now. We're moving on to Artisan TD. This is a puzzle-oriented tower defense game where you must survive by building mazes, which, yep, that's a tower defense for you. Looks interesting though. I like how dynamic and reactive the world is as he was placing towers then. It looks like you actually expand your land mass as well, so your buildable area. And then as you connect towers, paths are generated. We can see here we've got some flying enemies flying over everything. Looks to be what you'd expect from a modern tower defense. This one is from 2024, so it's not that old. Currently sells for $25. Not too bad. And yeah, it looks nice, doesn't it? It's you can almost forgive tower defense games for having really simplistic, even 2D art style generally, but looks like they've actually really put some effort in here, and it looks kind of charming and quite nice. It is Steam Deck verified, which is awesome because, again, I think this would be quite fun to play on a handheld. I could see myself doing that for sure on a long train trip or something like that. Absolutely. No DRMs, no DLCs, just pure buy the game, enjoy. Let's have a look at some of these reviews. Mostly positive lifetime, 72%, slightly higher recent. So, good game with some flaws. Let's see what people are saying. Okay, after 51 hours, this poster says, this game is the pinnacle of tower defense, at least of its puzzle side. Mechanics are clear, the challenge is punishing, and you can always retry from any wave of a given level. That's nice to know. Choices are extremely impactful, and the core feature, reshaping the enemy path, is very fun to engage with. Nice. Mostly a puzzle game that actual TD. Maps are limited and allow almost zero flexibility. Towers are not much varied and lack different update paths. Okay, see what you're saying? So it's more about the puzzle, choosing the right towers rather than playing as you go. Like, it sounds like there's maybe a predefined way to victory and doesn't give you much flexibility to move around that, but I don't know how you could really take that from 1 hour of game time. Although this one says the same after 4 hours. More of a puzzle than a strict TD, you can easily brick your perfect run because you didn't produce the perfect maze and place the towers in the most optimal position. Not impossible, but the rigidity strips the fun out of it. Okay, that's a fair criticism. Solid basic TD. 20 hours in, they're quite happy with it. 60 hours in it, mixed feelings. Beautiful graphics, pleasant music. Good variety of towers and monsters, and a perfect save system. Constant crashes, unstable. Okay. I think that's the first time we've seen anyone mention that, so I don't know how prevalent that issue is. The game's simple, feels like a waste of time, okay. There's a right way to finish each level and a wrong way. That seems to be the recurring theme. So it's more about the puzzle of finding the optimal solution rather than making your own solution that you'd probably normally find in a tower defense, which is, well, I don't know if that's a good thing, but it certainly might make things a bit more unique, I guess. Although if it's taking away from your flexibility and ability to choose and design your own solutions, that might be a bit of a problem. I think I'd be keen to try this one out, just because I'm a big fan of tower defenses, and this is one I just have never even heard of before, so it looks interesting, and I think I would give this one a try, so for me, that's a smash. Up next we have the Procession to Calvary. This is a comedic medieval point-and-click adventure, and as you can probably tell from the gameplay footage here in front of you, this is made up from Renaissance paintings. So they've taken those, trimmed them out, animated them, and created this, which it kind of looks funny, and then you realize it's meant to be funny, so it's okay to laugh at it. Apparently inspired by Monty Python, which you can sort of tell based on this. So if you have that kind of sense of humor where you appreciate Monty Python, you might get a kick out of this one. Didn't expect this to be a point-and-click adventure game, but I guess that makes sense in the end. And that is going to make a very unique and interesting visual style as you play through this. Let's find out a bit more about it. This was released in 2020. I cannot believe I've never heard of this. I feel like I should have. Currently sells for about $15, which is not too bad. Steam Deck verified, which is nice. No DRMs, no DLCs. Once again, buy the game, play the game, enjoy the game. That's it. Not much more to say on that one. It just seems like a unique styled point-and-click game. Let's have a look at what the reviews are saying. 97% lifetime positive. Dips a little bit recently with only 12 reviews, but that's an incredible score. What are we saying? A funny little historical point-and-click game. You'll love it or you'll hate it. The comedy is either going to stick the landing or it won't. It did not for me. Best game, 10 out of 10. Nice to see Monty Python still lives on. Okay. I'm glad I was introduced to this masterpiece. Trilogy deserves to be taken seriously. There's a trilogy? Okay, so there must be another game after this. I've not heard of any of them. In an age of AI-generated slop, soulless content, engagement farming, and low attention spans, very seldomly do I come across a game that truly moves me and revives my love of human artistry. That was totally written by ChatGPT. But no, I can see why people are enamored with this. It looks incredible and just looks bizarre. Is that the restored... Oh, I thought that was that restored Jesus photo. Remember someone damaged one and tried to paint over it, got the face really messed up? Maybe not. Anyway, knowing what I know about this now and just seeing how it looks and understanding there'll be some Monty Python humor, I think it's going to be something that I'd really enjoy. So for me, I think that's an easy smash. And finally, the last game in the bundle is Buddy Simulator 1984, another one I'd not heard of. This one is a indie psychological horror retro game. So this is going to be a little bit of a creepy one, I think, like analog horror. Thanks to next-generation AI technology, Buddy Simulator 1984 simulates the experience of hanging out with the best buddy. Your buddy learns from you, constantly adapting to your interests and personality. But most importantly, your buddy can play games with you. That sounds nice. It reads like a Tamagotchi, but it's going to play like Undertale, I think. Not that I've been into Undertale that very much, but you know, it's got that weird, unsettling horror vibe to it that it's going to appear all sweet and innocent on the surface, and then something dark and disturbing will happen. Which you can see, because this is meant to be your, you know, simulating your best buddy, I'm sure they will use that against you at every opportunity. It's an interesting little CRT art style. It kind of reminds me of... Is it He Is Coming? Yes, it is. Yep. Where it's sort of pixely, looks like it's simulated on a CRT screen, just to have that little retro flair to it. And look, to look at it, it doesn't look like much, but it's doing exactly what it sets out to do, which is make this sort of retro aesthetic. And obviously, things get disturbing. Do you trust me? Interesting. Not usually the kind of game I would go for, but I'm actually intrigued. And again, I'm surprised this came out in 2021. I've never heard of this. Tell me if I'm alone. Let me know in the comments if you've heard of this or if you're familiar with this, because I don't know where they're pulling these games from, honestly. As someone who follows these things closely, and has for a very long time, always amazes me when these ones just slip through the cracks and I don't hear about them until they appear in a bundle or something. Anyway, let's check it out. This one sells for $14.50, not too unreasonable. Steam Deck playable, not verified. There are a few issues. Does not exit cleanly. Some issues entering text, and doesn't play nice with the default configuration. So might need a bit of tinkering there, but at least it says it should play. So up to you if that's a deal breaker for you. Again, no DRM, no DLC, just a good old psychological horror trip to mess with your head. Let's see what the people are saying. 94% very positive. That's a lot more than I would have expected. Let's have a look. 10,000 out of 10. No wonder the score's so high. This guy's skewing the average. He's played 22 hours. I have cried many, many, many times during my playthrough, and frankly, I've reflected a lot about friendship. Holy moly. Is this serious? Beautiful. Like old games. Near idea, but tedious, and overstays its welcome. A great game, but it's tedious. Not particularly exciting. The premise is interesting and has the potential to tell a really heartwarming or frightening story. The first few minutes of the games are really charming, and it feels like you're playing an interactive story. However, it starts to fall flat quickly once you are done with the introduction. So much fun and very different from what I expected. You've only played half an hour. Why review? 13 hours. Amazing? Question mark? A fun, maybe slightly unsettling game with a perfectly off-putting dialogue, including instant classics like "Your eyes really are quite stunning. May I touch them? I'm going to get to the bottom of this, or my name isn't Lada McGator." Fair enough. Great, but even better with friends. Such a creepy and fun game. I have a real friend now. It was creepy. 10 out of 10. 20 hours, 12 hours, 33 hours. I would have assumed this was like a little 2 or 3 hour experience that you play and get creeped out and then you move on, but it sounds like there's a little bit more to it than that. And from the sounds of it, there's a number of mini games and things and activities you can do with your buddy to keep things interesting. So, yeah, look, it's hard to know what to make out of from this, and I really don't want to dig too deep because I wouldn't want to spoil too much, because it sounds like it's something you really want to experience for yourself. Not the usual kind of thing I would go for, but yeah, as I said before, I'm intrigued, and I really want to see what the big deal is with this now. I'm all for getting creeped out if they can do that. Congratulations. I'm not sure I'm going to cry repeatedly like that first reviewer said. But then again, maybe it's really sad. I don't know. I'll have to find out, I think. But for me, absolutely smash. I'm going to check this one out. And with that, we've seen all 8 games in the Humble Choice bundle in April 2026. And I think my initial prediction was correct in that this is going to be a contentious bundle. We have a real mixed bag here. The 2 headline acts are probably the highest profile games here, and neither of them are very well received. One is Assassin's Creed, which is a few years old and still requires all your Ubisoft connections and their account, and doesn't include all the DLCs. Then you've got Titanic Scion, which apparently is just not really great unless it's right up your alley. You probably won't get much out of that. So beyond those, which aren't particularly appealing, we're left with a real mishmash of indie games and weird stuff. I mean, Lord of the Rings probably could be a really good cooperative game, but if you don't have a few friends ready to play with you, there's probably not much point. And then you've got things like this visual novel, which is not everyone's cup of tea, like I've got no interest in that. Then you've got the Planet of Lana, which again, atmospheric, nice adventure, looks really nice. I don't see myself sitting down to play that, and maybe the average gamer might agree with that, I'm not sure. There are a couple of really unique points, and that's probably in these last 3 games, and these are the real appeal to me. Interesting tower defense that does things a little bit differently. We've got Procession to Calvary, which is just unhinged, but again, completely original, which I am keen to check out. And Buddy Simulator, which is like a little psychological horror game, and that'll do something different and evoke some feelings, probably some unsettled feelings as well. So there's a bit there. There's probably something there for everyone, but I don't think there's anybody who's going to look at this whole bundle and say, wow, this is made for me. Everything here is great. And it is hard to say because a couple of these games I think deserve some attention, but for me, I think I just have to pass. I just don't think there's enough appeal here for me to get any real value out of this bundle. But let me know your thoughts. Is there enough here to make you pull the trigger? Are you a bit more interested in Assassin's Creed or Titanic Scion than I am? Let me know your thoughts. And if you found this video useful and want to see more like it, please consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot and keeps you in the loop when new videos drop. I do a Humble Choice review every month, and in between I cover new and upcoming indie and VR titles. So if that's your kind of thing, stick around, and thank you again, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.